that there's got to be results.
Jeff, I want you to weigh in, if you could, on the historic nature of this day. Right now, we're taking a look here on the screen at St. John's Church, which is, I guess, geographically very close to the White House, separated by Lafayette Park. The Blair House is where the president stayed last night, where he's going to head back to. Talk to us about the historical nature of this process.
Well, this is it's the formality of the peaceful transfer of power. We have certain traditions and customs that we kind of go through. It doesn't matter who the players are, but the chairs always stay the same. And this is part of a tradition that America has bequeathed to the world, that a peaceful transfer of power is normal, it's expected. We didn't necessarily see the norm followed in 2021, but thankfully in 2025, we're going back to the norm. I noticed there was a significant number of kind of National Guardsmen and a significant police presence. But that aside, I mean, this is part of the legacy of the American Revolution. And what George Washington bequeathed is that, you have an election, you shake hands. I mean, I think Joe Biden and Donald Trump have exemplified that in the weeks since the election. And what we're seeing is what, it was not normal in all of world history. And this is something that America has given to the world, that this is now normal and expected.
Carrie, of course, the church attending by each president is part of tradition. Does this one sort of feel a little bit different? And how might Trump's personal faith and reflections post-assassination attempts, I say that plural, shape his approach to governance in his second term?
So my personal experience of him is, since those attempts, I think he understands the gravitas and the weight of the office, and also the need for unity. As I mentioned earlier, I worked for Pastor Paula White, who has been his pastor for decades now. I worked for her at America First Policy Institute, and so I worked very closely with the faith leaders who have spent almost a decade now putting their hands on President Trump and praying for him. So that's almost a decade of prayer, and I think it's bearing fruit. I think that President Trump, and you've seen him say this, he views himself as someone who has been protected by God, that he has a purpose, that God preserved his life by just a fraction of milli-inches, or however you did the measurement. And so I think that you're going to continue to see a respect for life. You heard this in the Pam Bondi hearings, for example, when she was asked about her priorities and President Trump's priorities. And she said, we're not going to be targeting Catholic families. We're not going to be targeting pro-life religious activists anymore. We're going to go for the actual terrorists who are posing a threat to the American people. And so I think that this is good. I think that our country was founded on religious freedom, and we have a president who respects that now.
To Carrie's point, you mentioned that we need unity, and this is a sign of unity. Pam Bondi also said there won't be an enemies list when she takes helm at the DOJ. Josh, how important is unity going into the nation's future for the next 4 years?
Sure. A house divided against itself cannot stand. Lincoln said that in the middle of the 19th century. I think we need a reminder on just how divided we are as a country. And so I say this as a Democrat watching a Republican president get inaugurated, and I get angry and annoyed when I see my fellow Democrats saying he's not my president, or I didn't vote for him. I don't have to recognize him. You don't have to revere the member of the office, but you have to revere the office of the presidency. And so to those people who say he's not my president, I remind them that he is. And things are different today than they were in 2017, right? When 2017, Clinton won by 3 million votes, and it was a much more contested race. Trump won the popular vote. He won all 7 swing states, and there was not one county in the country where Kamala made gains from Joe Biden. I say that again, not one county in the 50 states where Kamala and the Democrats made progress over Joe Biden. And so when we talk about unity, it means that us Democrats are in the minority. It's our job to do 2 things: to hold the Trump administration accountable, right? At any opposition party in any democracy, your job is to have a list of grievances and make them known. But your job is not to resist. And so when I say in 2017 it was a mistake that many Democrats called ourselves the resistance, no, we are partners in government. And if we want to get anything done, perhaps it's time to drop that knowledge and drop that name once and for all.
Again, I think of the Gilded Age, where every national election was seen as the stakes were existential and almost dress rehearsals for civil war. You had some states that literally had 90 to 95% turnout. And so that gives me a lot of hope for the future, that politics was so much more divided in the late 19th. The late 19th century says to us, like, here's my cup of coffee, let me show you what partisan rancor really is. And I think if Democrats take that stance of not being the resistance and being, look, oppose Trump where they think he needs to be opposed, support him where they think he needs to be supported. I mean, that's the best of American politics. And I take heart. I think it's good that Trump won the popular vote, right? If whoever was going to win needed to win the popular vote, I think we're in a better place than we were in 2017. And the past tells me that we're going to come out of this partisan rancorous era. And there will be different political seas, and they will not always be this rough.
And right now, if you're taking a look at our screen here, that is a live look at Pennsylvania Avenue and the Capitol in the backdrop, where President Donald J. Trump will be taking the oath of office for the second time in just a few short hours. In the meantime, inauguration has moved indoors. For more on that move, we're now joined by NTD's White House correspondent, Iris Tao. Iris, it's a beautiful view of the Capitol that you have there behind you. What has the Trump team been saying about the change from outdoors, the traditional way? Of course, you had 1985, which was different, and a few others. Were any other reasons involved in addition to the weather?
Hi, good morning to all of you. So as sunny as it is right now, as you can see, it is actually quite cold, and it is likely one of the coldest inauguration days since 1985, when President Ronald Reagan also moved his inauguration ceremony indoors. I mean, well, Trump has said that he doesn't want to see anyone get injured or getting hurt, but there has been speculation over if security was part of the reason why they moved the whole thing pretty much indoors, including even the parade. And so that comes especially after two assassination attempts against Trump, and in addition to that, a terrorist attack on New Year's Day in New Orleans. I mean, well, Secret Service has been denying that, saying that there were no security threats as reason to why it moved indoors, adding that it was solemnly the decision of Trump alone due to the weather. And Caroline Leavitt, which is incoming White House press secretary for Trump, also has been denying any speculation on that front, saying that rumors that security concerns or crowd size worries were the real reason why inauguration was moved indoors are, quote, unequivocally false. And she asked that decision was all about safety for supporters as well as for law enforcement in the bitter cold. And as you can actually probably see, that whole Capitol ground behind us is all empty. You don't see any crowd or even any police really gathering there, because it's just all blocked off and no one is able to access that front of the Capitol there, which was supposed actually to be the main area where Trump is sworn in and all of us, the reporters, gather to witness that moment. So all of it is now gone, moved inside the Capitol Rotunda with a more limited crowd size, including, for example, lawmakers and special VIPs. And yesterday at Trump's victory rally at Capital One Arena in downtown Washington, I talked to some Trump supporters who were supposed to come to the inauguration this morning to watch that moment. I asked them if they're disappointed at it. And most of them told us that while they are disappointed that they won't get to see the moment it happens, they are actually feeling better, thinking that Trump will be much safer within an indoors perimeter where everyone can, the police can control whoever gets in and whatever get to bring in. And for them, all they care about, a lot of them told us that, is that Trump is safe, and that's the most important thing on their mind.
Now,
happened to you that you do not deserve. Like they said, take a look at what happened. But you have to put your head down and fight, fight, fight. Never, ever, ever give up. America is beginning a new chapter. Our best days are yet to come.
So that was a video that Trump actually released this morning on his platform Truth Social right before his inauguration ceremony. And in that video, he pretty much recapped the journey that he has walked, of course, overcoming a lot of adversity and odds.
And Iris, we're gonna interrupt you just for a moment. We're going to interrupt you for just a moment here as we take a look at our screen. We have the Vice President Kamala Harris and the second gentleman Doug Emhoff greeting President Biden and the First Lady right now. This is also part of the tradition that goes along with the ceremonies and the peaceful transition of power. And as you can see them right there, lining up for a photo op. And what will come next, ultimately, is President Trump will be arriving at the White House shortly thereafter. We'll be keeping an eye on all of this. We're just going to go ahead and keep watching this for a moment as they make their way into the White House. Iris, apologize that we had to interrupt you there as the Vice President made her way to the White House to greet President Biden. Please continue.
Sure, so that leads exactly to what's next. So right now we are seeing the Bidens welcoming the Trumps to the White House, which is a tradition, and then they're going to actually be together at a tea and coffee reception. That's before heading to the Capitol building for the swearing-in ceremony. And notably, according to the White House guidance sent out, the Bidens will actually share the ride from the White House to the Capitol with the Trumps, and that is another symbol of the peaceful transfer of power that we were talking about. And after they got here to the Capitol Rotunda, Trump will be sworn in by Chief Justice John Roberts, and then he's going to deliver his inaugural address. And according to Trump himself, the theme will be unity, strength, and fairness. His top advisor, Jason Miller, told us yesterday that Trump will talk about America's golden age. And after the ceremony, we'll watch as former President Joe Biden then departs the Capitol forever after his one term of presidency. And at the same time, Trump will head to the president's room inside the Capitol building to sign his first executive orders, whom his advisors has told us that it will be about the border, the economy, as well as cutting red tape in the federal government. And Trump has also hinted that he's going to issue pardons for January 6 defendants, potentially later at the Capital One Arena, where he will join the crowd there as the presidential parade takes place. And that's what we are gathering right now. And of course, we are looking forward to what exactly will be in the executive orders, as well as the exact message in his speech to be delivered right there, actually, inside that Capitol Rotunda. And that will be the major things to look for today. Back to you.
NTD's Iris Tao overlooking the nation's capital. We'll be checking back in with Iris throughout the day. There's a live look at the White House right here in Washington, D.C., and we will be back in just a moment when the Bidens will be welcoming President Trump when we come back.
I don't know why you're so sad. You've got a roof over your head.
You gotta stop with that depressing stuff. That's what white people think.
You alright?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you want to talk about it?
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
بیست و سه سال
16 سال عمري ما هفت
اما داعش کردیان برانبر خوشکو دایکانی ازدی اما کاری که دور لهمو چمک دموکراسی و موافقانی مرو و انسانیت او بارو خی که است های به تایبت لایرا خوشکوریا بشه که دگرت و با حالانه که اداره اوباما کرد
ریم بو او هفت روز بو و داعش از کرد
تامبوم كرا قوتينيز قريا بما متشكر بحر في ذا نبو باوان رحمنا قدامنا سؤالان من خادران نزر باوان نفستم بس نا ما نقو بس ناش بيجوش باش.
They would literally be auctioned in front of soldiers, and then the soldiers begin to bid.
زارود وان همو جيبر تي حملي زارود الدم واسسي وان همو جيبر
وحشیگری که توا عیاره ظلمی که یک جار زور گوره لما افرطانه کرده و تعدایی که زور زوریان لیده که اما نه روزانه دست فروشیده
اليوم التوزيع كل الرصيد
Imagine being a child, you know, having a child mentality, and these evil people come and wheel you away from the only safety you've ever known.
Once we do this hit.
And we are looking at a live shot of the nation's capital right here in the heart of Washington, D.C. That is where the inauguration in the